Every human born has a divine assignment. There is not one person on earth who is or was a mistake. Everyone born was handpicked by God, whether you're a believer or not. You weren't random, you weren't accidental, you weren't a product of chance. You were chosen, you were handcrafted, and you were sent by the Creator Himself. And yet, the question still echoes across generations. What is my purpose? Believers ask it, unbelievers ask it, and it's been asked since the beginning of time. But here's the tension. Many will live their entire lives never walking in that God-given purpose. Instead, they'll follow a path they built for themselves, supposedly, or one handed to them by culture, tradition, trauma, or fear. Ephesians 1:11 says, "In him we have obtained an inheritance, having been predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things according to the counsel of his will." This means that God has a specific predetermined plan for those who belong to him. You were chosen, you were predestined, you were written into his will. But being chosen doesn't mean you're walking in it. Being called doesn't mean that you've answered. So what's the difference between living in God's purpose and walking in your own path? Let's break it down. In God's will, He doesn't just give you potential, He equips you and He gives you the tools. He opens the doors, He places you in rooms you couldn't access on your own. And then He aligns your steps with divine timing. That's called God's providence. He orchestrates connections that resume can never earn. Revelations 3:7 says that if He opens the door, no one can shut it. And if He shuts the door, no one can open it. But in our own path, we have to hustle hard. We have to grind. We have to compromise. And we rely on our own sin nature, our desires, or our upbringing, our intellect, education, or psychology. And all of that is flawed. And it's also fragile. And it's never perfect. Proverbs 14:12 says that there is a way that seems right to man, but its end is the way to death. God's path is sovereign, and our path is simply survival. God's path is eternal, and our path is temporary. God's path is holy, and our path is human. God's path is obedience. Our path is opinion. God's path is legacy. Our path, hustle. In our own path, we do all the legwork, so it seems. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you have to know someone who knows someone who knows someone to get in. It's like flipping a coin. You just never know. You might have to lie, you might have to compromise or sell yourself short. You just become another body in someone else's system. You chase titles, you bend your values, you become a version of yourself that God never authored. Matthew 7:21-23 says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven. Then I will plainly tell them, 'Get away from me, I never knew you.'" You can build a platform and still fail in heaven. You can be successful and still be spiritually bankrupt. You can be applauded by men and be rejected by God. But in God's will, He knows you best. He places you in the perfect positions, not only to bless you, but to bless those around you. He doesn't just call you to the battlefield. He hands you the armor and He shows you how to fight. He tells you exactly what to do. And you know what? You'll never fail if you follow His way. You'll struggle a little bit because we're human, but because we depend on His strength and not our own, we will always be victorious. His word says that we go from victory to victory. 2 Peter 1:3 says that His divine power has given us everything we need for a godly life. Philippians 2:13 says that for it is God who works in you to will and to act in order to fulfill His good purpose. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him." Isaiah 48:17 says, "I am the Lord your God who teaches you what is best for you, who directs you in the way you should go." But here's the condition. God's will requires obedience. When He says, "Go right," we go right. And when he says turn left, we turn left. Because obedience isn't optional, it's the currency of purpose. Deuteronomy 5:33 says, walk in obedience to all that the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live and prosper. John 14:15 says, if you love me, keep my commands. Obedience will cost you. It'll cost you comfort, it'll cost you applause, and it'll cost you control. But it will give you peace and it will give you purpose. You can live your whole life chasing a dream that God never breathed on. You can build a brand, a business, and even a ministry and still miss the mark. Because success without surrender is just rebellion dressed up as ambition. God's purpose isn't always glamorous. It's often hidden and it's hard or difficult. And it's holy, but it's the only path that leads to eternal fruit. And don't forget, it's also worth it at the end. So ask yourself, am I walking in what God wrote or what I built? Be blessed.